In this video, we will complete a walkthrough of the Content Blocks webinar, including an overview of widgets, how to create pages, how to configure page properties, and much more. Content blocks are the editable areas on a web page that allow us to add widgets to a page. But what are widgets? Widgets are the building blocks of our website. They help us to build complex content without actually requiring any knowledge of code. And we can mix and match those widgets without having to worry whether they'll work or not. The process is simple. We'll go ahead and select a widget that we want to use. Then within the configuration window, we'll punch in our information. And once we've saved that, it will turn into a widget for us. Widgets can easily be edited and rearranged on the fly and are the base of each content page. Now, just a note for those clubs who might currently be going through a redesign. We'll demonstrate during the webinar today that instead of seeing the content editor on the top of every page, the content editor will actually only be seen within certain widgets. Now let's take a look through our homepage. Note that this is our training site, so the layout of your club site may be different, but the general functionality is the same. At the very top of your site, you will have a header that you will have chosen working with your graphics team or that has been in place for your website. Somewhere within that header, you may have a logo that is linked over to your homepage, as well as a member login button, which will be used both for your members to log into the website, as well as for you as administrators. Now, right now, we are viewing the site from a public perspective, meaning that we're not logged in, so whatever we see is what you're making available to the general public. During the video today, we're going to demonstrate how we can apply what is called page security, so you can determine if you want a page visible to just the general public, just your members, or to everyone. If we take a look at the top middle of the page, we have what is referred to as our navigation bar. Now, any pages we see directly on this navigation bar are called our parent pages. If I hover over amenities, in the drop-down these are now referred to as our child pages, grandchild, and great-grandchild. Now these are terminology we use here, but you're more than welcome to go by level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Below our header is all the widgets that we've used on our homepage, and the widgets you use for your homepage will depend on how you want your homepage laid out. Just note that the widgets on the homepage are utilizing the full width content block, meaning they're going directly from one side of the screen over to the other. Now the widgets we see on the homepage include the rotating image you see here. The rotating image banner is going to rotate every few seconds for you, and you do have the option of including a logo, title, subtitle, and button link as an overlay on top of that image. Below that, we have our text quick links. This allows you to put a title and subtitle, which will allow you to set a link, for example with somewhere within your website. Next, we have a static image banner. So it's similar to the rotating image banner, however this is static to the screen and allows us to add those same overlay features of title, subtitle, button, and logo. Below that, we have our title and summary. This widget focuses on a smaller block of content and can display either just text or text and image on either side of each other. It will also include a title, subtitle, and button link. Now if we take a look at the very bottom of the page, we will have a footer. And just like the header, the footer will have been picked for your website. Some features you may find within your footer include your logo, contact information, and social media icons if applicable to your club. Now, if we take a look at all the widgets on the screen here, notice how a lot of them do have the same color green, even with the background here. That's because if we take a look at this screenshot here, that's using the first default theme that we've applied to our website. Now your website will have 3 default themes as well, and we're going to go into a bit more detail when we get to the admin perspective. But just to point out as well, you can choose to use all the same theme within a page, or Depending on the layout, you can always utilize different themes. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the member perspective. For the member perspective, we're going to go ahead and click on that member login button. But before we log in as a member, just note the pages you see on the navigation. Because remember, we can actually specify the page security to determine what pages will be visible to what audience. So if I go ahead and log in as my member, notice that the pages on the navigation have now changed, as these are my member-specific pages. For most clubs, once a member logs into the website, the landing page is Member Central. So if there's anything important you want to tell your members, this is the best place to do so, as it is the first thing they will see. So for example, any maintenance going on in the club, any special events, or anything that you really just want to catch their attention. Member Central also contains the modules you have with us, so it's that nice quick access for your members. As we saw on the homepage, our widgets expanded from the full left-hand side of the screen to the full right-hand side. However, looking at Member Central, we actually have some padding on either side. And we're going to explain today the different types of templates you can use and the different size widgets available. So at the very top of the page, we do have a static image banner, which is similar to the one we had on the homepage. However, there is no overlay content. Below that widget, we have our announcement bar. And this can display up to 4 announcements with your choice of a gray attention, green reminder, yellow caution, or red alert. Each announcement will have its own message and the option of adding a URL. The announcement bar will rotate between each announcement for you, and if we go ahead and click on that close button, it will close out that announcement for us. If there are no more announcements left, it will remove the announcement bar. Now for this page template, on the left-hand side, we have our 70% block. And in here, we have an example of our tabbed content. And the tabbed content can display up to 5 tabs, allowing your users to click between those tabs to view that information. Below that, we have a title and summary, but notice that this title and summary is smaller than the one we saw on the homepage. And that's because this title and summary has been added to a 70% content block as opposed to a full width. If we go ahead and scroll back up, on the right hand side of the screen we have our 30% content block. And the widgets you see here include our quick links. This is similar to the quick links text we saw on the homepage, but specific to that 30% content block. And it is a vertical list of links in a button style where all we have to do is add a display name and URL for each one of our links. At the very bottom, we have our upcoming events widget. This will display upcoming events which are pulled from the online calendar, and the events will appear either in a vertical or horizontal list depending on the content block you've added the widget to. A user can click on the name of an event, through the page numbers, or view all events. Now just an important note to keep in mind is when you are creating your pages, note that on a mobile view, if you have a template that has a left-hand column and a right-hand column, the left-hand column will always appear above the right, no matter what size the content blocks are. So for example, if we minimize our view, notice that the widgets from the content block on the left are appearing above those that were on the right. Just a note, when we go ahead and click on our name, in the drop-down, depending on the modules you have, the member can go ahead and edit their profile, change password, view bookings or statements, and they also have the ability to log out. It is recommended for both your members and yourself as an administrator to log out of the site once you are done with your session, especially if it is a shared workstation. Now that we've looked at the website as a member perspective, we're going to go ahead and start with our administrator perspective. So now let's go ahead and log in with our administrator account. Now as I'm logging in, just keep an eye out for that navigation bar again. Note that as an administrator, we have access to see all pages regardless of the security settings applied. So just keep that in mind when you are viewing the website using your administrator account. In order to edit the website, we're going to go ahead and click on our name, and in the drop-down, we're going to utilize the Switch to Club Central option. Note that this is only available to administrators. Members will never see this, as it will take you to the back end of the website to do edits on the website and customize your modules. Switching to Club Central will take us over to our Club Central dashboard, which is made up of tiles for all the different applications you'll use within your website. If there is an application you're looking for but you can't find it, you're going to go ahead and click on the little planet icon, use your submenus, or search for your title, and there you go. Now we can customize your dashboard similarly to how you might customize your apps on a mobile device. In order to customize, you're going to click on the little gear icon in the bottom right hand corner, and that will shrink your tiles for you. From here, maybe you decide, you know what, I don't utilize BizForms so much. So we can go ahead and click X, and that will unpin that from our dashboard. If you'd like to add a tile to the dashboard, you're going to click your plus sign, look for that application, go ahead and click on the pin, and it will pin it back to your dashboard. Then from here, it's a simple click and drag to readjust the order if you like. Once you are done customizing your dashboard, just make sure you click back on that gear icon to take your tiles back to regular size. You can always arrange the order of your tiles without being edit mode as well, with a simple click and drag. Now let's take a look at the icons and features we see across the navigation bar at the top. First, we have the house icon. Clicking the house icon will always take you back to this dashboard. Where you see Clubhouse Online will list the name of your club's website, and where it says dashboard will indicate whatever application you're currently on. Over to the far right, we have our live site button. Clicking this will open the live site in a new window, which can be very handy when it comes to reviewing those edits on the big version of your live site. Next, we have the E3 Help button, which will take you to our online support portal. Now just note the first time you click this button, if you do have pop-ups, you will get a pop-up blocker in your browser, so just make sure you enable those pop-ups and re-click the button. The online support portal offers you a lot of resources, and we can actually focus on the website tile for any website resources. From here, you have knowledge-based articles, and there's lots of articles that will help walk you through creating your pages, including articles available on all the different widget types that we do have available, how to configure them, an example, and sometimes a video as well. We have the educational webinars. So the Content Blocks webinar is the video we've created today. We also have calendar and email marketing as applicable to your club. These webinars are offered once a week and free to attend, so feel free to sign up for a refresher or if any new staff at the club need to attend. Lastly, we have our video library. There's lots of video resources available here for you, including widget types and page types, so feel free to take a look here as you're creating your widgets and building your pages. Lastly, if you can't find what you're looking for, definitely feel free to reach out to your trainer or project coordinator, or if your website is live, we have our Jonas Software support contact here, as well as our club systems group support. The last icon we see in that navigation is this little person icon. This will show us both who has signed in and will allow us to sign out. So definitely make sure you are signing out after your session, again, especially if this is a shared workstation. Now let's take a look at actually editing our website. And in order to do that, we're going to navigate over to our Pages tile. You'll notice that Pages is actually in a split screen. So let's start with the left-hand side. The left-hand side of the screen is referred to as our content tree. Now your content tree may look different than our training site, but pages can be easily moved as desired. At the very top of the content tree, you'll notice that this icon is different than all of these. You'll also notice that this will list your club's name. This page is referred to as the root level of our website. Below the root level, notice that we have our login, password, and module pages. Now the way we've laid out our content tree is any pages found above the themes are pages we don't necessarily want to edit or delete, unless we've been given special permission. Because you can imagine if we accidentally came in here and deleted that login page, ourselves and our members would have quite a hard time logging into the website. So if you do need assistance with editing any of these pages, again, please reach out to your project coordinator or our web support team. So the way we've organized our content tree here is any pages found below that theme's image, from home downwards, are the pages we're actually utilizing within the website. But let's take a look at that themes page. If you can't remember what your theme colors or your default fonts are, you will be able to find it within the page tab and viewing that theme's image. When it comes to fonts, there are two default fonts that have been applied to your website. The body font is the default font used in subheadings, paragraphs, and the main font throughout your website. Whereas the secondary font is more so used for titles and heading tags. Then you've got your three theme colors. Every theme will have a primary color, which is going to be used for actionable items such as button links or background colors. And your secondary color is used for text. So typically you'll find this is going to be black, white, or gray. As we mentioned earlier, as you're building your widgets, you can utilize the same theme, or you can apply different themes throughout the page as you like. If you ever need assistance with updating any of the information seen within themes, please contact our web support team and they will be able to assist. Now let's navigate back over to the root level. Just note when you are viewing the content tree, the order of the pages as we see from top to bottom are how they appear on your navigation from left to right. And if you do want to view those page levels, we can click on amenities plus sign, dining, and so on and so forth. Now on the right hand side of the screen is the page we're actually working on. And very shortly, we'll demonstrate how to add widgets into these pages. The next thing we're going to do is create our first parent page. And remember that a parent page is the page that appears directly on that navigation bar. So in order to create a parent page, we're going to make sure we're selected on the root level. And you'll know you're selected on the right page because it will be highlighted in blue for you. From here, we're going to go ahead and click the plus sign. And typically you're going to use the first option, which is our page menu item. Then you can go ahead and give your page a name. So for example, what's new at the club? From here, you're going to go ahead and select your page template. Now let's look at an example of the different templates we offer. When you're building your templates, you'll notice that each template does have a full width page banner, allowing you to add widgets from one side of the screen to the other. And that, for example, can also be utilized with the one column full width. Next, you have one column, which will also include a 100% content block. As you can see here, if we do 100 versus 70-30 or 50-50, there will be padding on both sides of the screen for you. And the size from left to right for these content blocks is 1,140 pixels long. If you're not sure what template to utilize, you can always create a few, see what you like best, and go from there. As you can see, for the 70-30 and 50-50 templates, again, those are going to take up the 100% content width as well. So back over to pages. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the one column template. Now just note that when you do save a template, we cannot change it. So like I mentioned, if you want to go in, play around with some of the templates and see what you like best, you can always delete those old ones and start from fresh if you like. So let's go ahead and save. Your new page will always appear at the bottom of your content tree. But we can move this up or down as we like, by utilizing the up and down arrows located above the content tree. So for example, maybe we want our page to appear between About Us and Amenities. So we'll go ahead and click that up arrow. And that has then moved the page for us. Now before adding any content to our page, the first thing we want to take a look at is our page security. So i.e., who do we want to have access to view this page? To access security, we're going to go ahead and click on Properties, and at the bottom of the list, we're going to choose Security. Next, within the Users and Roles area, we're going to click the Add Roles button. There are 3 main roles that you'll use throughout the website. The first one is your Everyone role. This means that both the general public not logged into the website and members who are logged into the website will be able to view the page. So for example, your homepage. Next, we have Members. Members is going to be used for any pages that you only want members to see once they've logged into the website. So for example, Member Central. And thirdly, is not authenticated users. So think of this almost like the general public. So this can be used for pages, such as your membership page, that will be visible when a user is not logged into the website. However, once a member logs in, for example, that page will actually disappear, leaving more room in the navigation for your member-only pages. For our example, we're going to go ahead and go with Everyone, and click Select. Now once you've added your role, we just need to make sure we do assign them their access rights. We can do that by clicking on the role, and all you have to do is allow them to read that page. Then at the very bottom, we have Requires Authentication. If this is an Everyone or not authenticated users page, we'll leave this at Inherits No. However, if we are setting this to a members page, we want to make sure we set Requires Authentication to Yes. That means that if a member is trying to access that page, they must be logged into the website first. Therefore, if they are trying to access the page but are not logged in, they will be prompted with the login page before they can access that page. Then for Requires SSL, we leave this at Inherits Never, so you don't have to worry about that bit. And just make sure you do save your changes. Now before we start adding content over to our page, let's take a look at what we're going to make today within our parent page example. So today I'm going to demonstrate how we can create a static image banner, an announcement bar, and a title and summary. In order to actually work on the page itself, we just need to make sure we're in edit mode, as well as the page tab. You'll know you're in the right area to edit the page because you will find your editable content blocks. A content block is where we can add widgets to. Each content block is labeled for you, and the content blocks available will depend on the template you selected. Now note that widgets come in 3 different sizes, but not every widget is available in each size. So for example, first we have the extra large widgets. And extra large widgets can be found within the full width page banner that spans from the full width of the screen for you. Next you have your large widgets. And large widgets will be available in both the 100 and 70% content blocks. Lastly, we have the small widgets. And the small widgets can be found in both your 50 and 30% content blocks. In order to add a widget, we're going to click on the hamburger menu beside the content block you'd like to add your widget to, and we're going to choose Add New Widget. This is going to open our widget selection window, which will display thumbnail previews and titles for each one of the widgets. The first widget we're going to make is the static image banner, so let's go ahead and locate that. When you do click on your widget, notice that there is a description at the bottom of the window. It is recommended to take this into consideration when you're building your widgets, as it will list any requirements if needed, especially for any widgets that do require a page type to be built first before creating the widget. And we'll go ahead and click Select. When configuring a widget, any fields that you see with the red asterisk mean they are required in order to save the widget. You'll also find when you do hover over the fields, there will be a tooltip which will provide a bit more information about the field for you. Now in most of the widgets, you will be able to choose the theme that you'd like to use for the widget. For the static image banner, we can go ahead and choose the banner height. Now just note the options you can add to a static image banner are determined by the height of the banner. So for example, if we do a 25% height, I have fewer options I could add as an overlay on top of that banner. Whereas if I choose my 90%, I have a few more options. But we're going to go ahead and utilize the 50%. Then you have a content alignment dropdown, which allows you to choose whether you want the static overlay content to appear at the top, center, or bottom of the widget. Next, you want to go ahead and actually select that image by clicking the select button. That select button is going to take us over to our media libraries, which is the online storage for any files that you'd like to use within the website. So any files that you want to use must be uploaded here first. Before you start uploading your files, we also suggest creating folders to help better organize those files. In order to add a folder, just select the folder you'd like to add a subfolder to, click your plus sign, give your folder a name, and save and close. Now for folders that might be very useful, include one for your assets, which can include your logo, banners, images, and PDFs. We do recommend making any edits to your media prior to uploading them, including cropping, resizing, and even labeling your files. That way, once you upload them to the media libraries, they're ready to go to add to a widget. You can use any editing program, including Microsoft Paint, Photoshop, or if you don't have a photo editor, pull up your web browser and do a search for free photo editor, and you'll find lots of resources online. Now in regards to the banner images, the suggested width is 1900 pixels wide. That way, it's going to not skew or become stretched across the largest size screen. There is no set height requirement. As you could see, the height is actually set within the widget configuration. When you are uploading files to the media libraries, note that the file formats we can use include JPEG, PNG, and PDF. In order to upload your files, just make sure you are on the correct folder that you'd like to upload those files to. Click your upload button. From here, go ahead and select one file, or hold down the Control and Command key on your keyboard to select multiple, and click open. If we take a look at the right hand side of the media libraries, we'll notice that it's actually currently within a split screen. So what we can do is click on this expand button here, and that will expand the view for us. You also have the option of clicking this gray arrow, which will give you the full screen. Right now in list view of the media libraries, we can see a list of our files. If you've added an image but you can't remember what it looks like, if you just hover over that thumbnail, it will provide you with a preview. Or if you like, you can go ahead and switch over to thumbnail view, which will display all your images in a nice thumbnail preview. Let's switch over back to our list view. And in this list, I'm going to go ahead and use my banner contact. Now when you are adding images into specific widgets, a cropping tool is also included, which will automatically crop the image to fit perfectly within the widget for you. From here, you can simply click and drag to adjust what part of the image you want to view, and you also have a sliding bar, as well as to rotate the image. Now one thing to note when you are utilizing the cropping tool is it is going to create a copy of the file for you. That way it's going to keep the original, and when you do utilize the cropping tool, it's going to have the original file name, -1, -2, or however many times you use the image in a different widget. That way you'll have the different sizings available to use in your different size widgets. Once you're happy with the image you've selected, go ahead and click select. Next we can go ahead and add a title. So for example, contact us, as well as a subtitle. Now you might notice that as I'm typing, It is letting me know how many characters are remaining within that field for me. If we scroll down, notice that we do have the ability to enable a button. Clicking that will allow us to add up to 3 buttons to overlay on top of the static image banner. If you do utilize the button feature, you must put at least 1 button. So we can start with our button link. Go ahead and click select, and when you're creating your links, you'll have 3 options. The web tab will allow us to link to an external web page. The media libraries will allow us to link to a PDF, for example, and the content tab will allow us to choose a page within our content tree. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and select my Contact Us page and select. Then you just want to make sure you also include the button text. So for example, more info. Once you've configured your widget, go ahead and click Save and Close. It is suggested that every time you do add a widget to the page, to make sure you go ahead and click that Save button. While in edit mode, we will get an idea of really what the widget's going to look like within the live site view. However, if you do want to test any hyperlinks or get the full view of what the page will actually look like, you can utilize either that live site button or our preview mode. Preview mode allows administrators to see the pages and the widgets without the content blocks to see how the page will look to the target audience before the page has been published to the live site. Now, as you are building your website, we do suggest changing what screen size you're actually viewing this on. The default screen size is your desktop view. However, we can always take a look at the smartphone to get an idea of what this page will look like on a mobile device. Now note that if you are using a widget that does have a static overlay, within the mobile view, that content will display below the image. Also remember that if you do have a left and right content block within the template, the content block on the left will always appear above the content block on the right. Now let's switch back over to our edit mode by clicking that edit button. And I want to go ahead and click our live site button. Now notice that even though we created the What's New at the Club page, it's not actually appearing on the navigation bar. And that's because we haven't yet published the page. Publishing a page is always going to be your last step. You want to make sure that your page security is set and that you're satisfied with the content of the page. Because once you publish a page, it will now be visible on the live site, so that brings us over to these colorful icons within the content tree. A green checkmark means the page has been published, a red X means the page has not been published, and a yellow diamond means the page has been published. However, we've gone in and we've made some changes, so in order for those changes to appear on the live site, we just have to republish our page. In order to publish the page, all you have to do is click that Publish button. Notice that our icon changed right away for us, and if we go over to our live site and do a nice refresh, there's our What's New at the Club page. Now before we move on with our widgets, I just want to point out the media libraries. To get to the media libraries, a shortcut could be right-clicking on that house icon and opening the dashboard in a new tab. If you like, you can access the media libraries directly on the dashboard. So clicking Media Libraries and the pencil icon. You can add files to the media libraries as you're working on your web pages, or you can come in here and upload them before you work on your pages. You can also create your folders. If you want to move or delete any old or unwanted files, it can be done here. However, please do not move or delete a file within the media libraries that is currently on use on your website, because it will result in a broken link icon. But let's go back to pages. The next widget we're going to add is the announcement bar, and we're also going to add that to our full width page banner. So clicking our hamburger menu, add new widget, select the announcement bar, and select. For the announcement bar, we're able to add each one of those announcements as its own individual item. And just remember that we can add a max of 4 announcements per announcement bar. So let's go ahead and add our item. And for the announcement type, you're going to go ahead and choose between your attention, reminder, caution, or alert. So we're going to go with reminder. Then make sure you do put in your announcement text. And note that there is a 65 character limit for this one. So for example, don't forget, then it is optional if you want to include a hyperlink. If so, just make sure you start with your hyperlink text. So for example, we can say register now. And you also want to indicate where you want that link to go. So we're going to click select under hyperlink URL. And for this one, I'm actually going to have that link go over to my calendar. And select. Once you've entered all your fields, click save. And that will add your announcement. Now once you do have announcements in here, if you hover over an existing one, you can delete that, you can edit it, and if you do have multiple announcements, you can either move them up or down to change the ordering of your announcements. Then save and close. And let's save our page as well. Note that when you're looking at the announcement bar within edit mode, you're not going to see the full announcement. So if you want to get an idea of what it's going to look like, you can just quickly switch over to your preview mode. And there's our announcement. So we're going to go ahead and add one more widget. But this time, we're actually going to add it to our 100% content block. And this time we're going to use our title and summary. So hamburger menu, add new widget, find our page, select our widget, and select. For this title and summary, we can choose our theme, our layout, so you can do text only, or text and image. Throw a title in here. So for example, our history. Make sure you add your image, clicking select. And within the media libraries, we're going to go ahead and locate our image. So I'm going to use our about image. Okay, again, you do have the cropping tool here as well. And select. Below that image, we have the image alternative text. This is really handy because if a user does utilize a screen reader, it will read this text for them. Or if the image isn't loading properly on the user's screen, it will display this text as well. So for example, have our clubhouse. Your next option is to choose whether you want this image to appear on the right or the left-hand side of your text. Then we've got our subtext. So for example, and just like with the static image banner, you do have the option of showing a button, but just note there is only one button with the static image banner. So for example, my button text, we can say learn more, and my button URL, select, and in my content tree, that's going to go over to my about us for us, and select. Once you have all your configuration settings, save and close, save your page, and scrolling down, there's our title and summary. Now let's take a look at that live site. And let's take a look at what's new at the club. Now notice that right now we see our static image banner, announcement bar, and title and summary. But also notice we get a message at the top of the browser letting us know we're currently in preview mode. This means that the live site is actually showing us the same preview mode as if we see within Pages. So if you want to see what this page looks without being preview mode, just make sure you close out of preview. When we did that, notice that now we only see that static image banner. That's because if we navigate back over to Pages, notice that my green check mark has turned into that yellow diamond. That means we've made some changes, and in order to view those changes on the live site, we have to republish that page. So we'll go ahead and click that publish button. And if we switch back over to our live site and refresh, making sure we close back out of that preview mode again, there's all of our widgets. Now back over to Pages. Now that we've created a few widgets, we're going to go ahead and create a child page. To create a parent page, we were selected on our root level. So this time, to create a child page, we're actually going to be selected right on that parent page. And it's the same process. Clicking that plus sign, selecting page menu item, and giving our page a name. So this one can be our history. And for our template, we're going to go ahead and select the 2-column 70/30 and save. So just a friendly reminder that before you add any content to your page, the first thing you want to do is take a look at that page security. So we're going to go over to Properties and Security. Now right now, if we tried and clicked on that Everyone role, notice that we cannot remove it. And that's because our page will inherit permissions from the parent level. However, we can go ahead and click Change Permission Inheritance, and we can utilize the first option, which is to break that inheritance and copy those parent permissions. That way, maybe we decide we want our parent page to be visible to everyone, but we want our child page only to be visible to members. Here we can see the page no longer inherits permissions from the parent level. That way we can go ahead and click Everyone, and Remove, and OK. Next, we can go ahead and click Add Roles, select Members, and Select. Then just remember, we want to make sure we select that role and allow them to read the page. And because this is a members page, for that requires authentication, we want to make sure we set that over to yes, and save. Now we can switch back over to our Page tab. Before we build our page, let's take another look at what we're going to build. In our child page, we're going to go ahead and build the text area, which is going to introduce you on how to create links within your page and also add images directly into the text area widget. We're also going to show you how to create the quick links menu. When adding widgets to your web pages, it is optional to add a rotating or static image banner. For this page, we're not going to add an image banner. Instead, we're going to start with a text area widget, and we're going to add that to our 70% content block. We're going to click the hamburger menu and add new widget. And let's look for our text area. Click text area and select. The text area widget is an example of one of the widgets that does have the content editor. While you're working within this widget, if you'd like to expand your view, you can click the expand icon. You can also click and drag your arrow as well. First, we're going to take a look at inserting text. So you can definitely place your cursor and start typing. Or maybe you're transferring from a third-party source or a Word document like I have here. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy our text. And notice that there's some different coloring in here, some different font style, and different sizing. When I go to my content area and I Control-V, notice that it has transferred over my italics, my bold. However, it will not transfer over any font size difference or coloring. Links will also be transferred. As we can see, if we scroll down, our email link. So if your links have been transferred, it is recommended just to double check them to make sure they are linked properly. We can do that by right-clicking on our link and choosing Link Properties. For an email link, we're going to find that within the Email tab. And the only mandatory field is our To field, so definitely make sure that is set here. All the other fields are optional. And the neat thing about the email link is that as long as the user has an email program on their workstation, upon clicking that link, it will automatically populate an email with any of these fields we have filled out. So for example, depending on what page this link is on, we can say Membership Inquiry. That way, when the club receives that email, you already kind of know what the user is referencing. And save and close. Now when we paste our text, it's going to take on the normal font, so i.e. the body font that has been applied to the website. From here, we can go ahead and apply our heading tags using our drop-down. These heading tags are also default fonts that have been applied to your website. So to apply our heading tags, we're just going to select our text. And heading 1, typically we use those for titles. Heading 2 can use for subtitles. And heading 3 can also be used for subtitles. Next, let's take a look at adding an image directly into our text area. So if I scroll to the bottom, we're going to start by placing our cursor where we want that image to appear. Then within the content editor, you're going to click on the film strip icon where it says Insert/Edit Image or Media. If we want to use an image within the text area, just make sure you are within the media libraries. Then you can go ahead and navigate to your folder. And if you have labeled your files, you can easily type in the file name and click search. So we're going to go ahead and select our map. And when we're inserting an image into the text area or any widget with a content editor, we do have a few options we can play with. The first one includes alternative text. And the alternative text is the one that a screen reader will read or that will be replaced if the image isn't loading. Below that is the width and height. Please do not adjust this from this screen, because what will happen is if you adjust the width and height, it will lock the size of the image, meaning the image will no longer automatically scale to fit whatever size screen it's being viewed on. So if you do need a different sized image for this text area, it is recommended to edit a version outside of the media libraries, upload it, and then use that one. The features we can edit below that include adding a border width. So for example, I can put 10, and that's going to place a nice 10 pixel border around the image. Next, you have border color. So if you know the hex code, feel free to enter it here. If not, you're going to click the palette icon, select your color, and that will generate the hex code for you. Below those options, we can also choose to add padding horizontally and vertically between the image and the text. So for example, I can put 10, and that is also measured in pixels for you. Lastly, if you like, you can choose to align your image to the text. So maybe we want the image to appear on the left-hand side of the text. Now these options are optional, so feel free to use them as you like. But for our video today, I'm actually just going to quickly remove those. And save and close. And there's our image. Now the next thing we're going to take a look at in the text area is how to create a couple more hyperlinks. The different type of hyperlinks that you can add include an external link, an internal redirect, a PDF, and an email address. Now we've already taken a look at the email address, so within the text area widget, we're going to demonstrate an external link. The other two links will be demonstrated shortly within another widget. So going over to our handy dandy Word document, if I scroll down, I've got my text in here. So I'm just going to copy this. And in my text area, remember I'm just going to place my cursor and Control V. So let's go ahead and do our external link. To do that, we're going to go ahead and highlight the text we want to use as our link, and we're going to click on this chain link icon. For an external link, we want to make sure we're found within the Web tab. Now your protocol is usually going to remain the same, but you can change this as needed. Then go ahead and copy and paste or type in that URL. Now for your target, it is recommended to set this to new window. What that means is when a user clicks on that link, it's going to open it in a new tab instead of directly in the web page. Because I'm not sure if you've had that happen before, where you go to close that link, and if it opens within the same window, you might accidentally close out of your website, which can be very frustrating. So make sure you set that target over to new window. Another feature you can take a look at is found under the Advanced tab. And if you can't see it on the screen right now, if you go ahead and expand your screen, it's called the button styling. Enabling button styling is going to turn your link into a button as opposed to just the link text for you. And save and close. You'll know you have the hyperlink like we saw with that email link because it will be underlined and in blue. Note that you can't test out hyperlinks from within the edit window. However, like you saw with the email link, if you right click, you can always go into the link properties or unlink. Now we can also link to an image, similar to how we link to our text. The first step is to go ahead and insert that image. So over to our media libraries, I'm going to look for my Facebook image, select my image, and save and close. Now we're going to add the link the same way. We're going to click on the image, which will highlight it just like we did our text, over to our chain link icon, web tab, and throw in that URL. Then remember, just make sure we set that target over to new window and save and close. Now that we've added all the content into our text area, we can go ahead and save and close our widget. And let's save that page. The last widget we're going to take a look at is the quick link menu. And we're going to go ahead and add that to our 30% content block. So if we scroll down, we'll see that nice text area widget we added with our text, our heading tags, and our links, which you'll notice that will be underlined once you hover over them. So to our 30%, click our hamburger menu and add new widget. And this one is going to be our quick link menu. For the quick link menu, it is optional if you'd like to include a title, and this will appear above the links for you. So for example, quick links. And just like with the announcement bar, we're going to add each link as its own individual item by clicking Add Item. So we can start with our text, and in this link, we're going to do an internal redirect. So, for example, to our golf scorecard. So this time when we click Select, because it's an internal redirect, we want to navigate over to our content tree to find that internal page. So I'm going to scroll down and find my golf page and select. Once you've added your settings, click Add. And again, just like the announcement bar, when we hover over that existing link, we can delete, edit, or move up and down. So let's go ahead and add one more link, which is to link to our PDF. So we're going to click Add Item. This one is going to be my dining menu. Click Select. And if you want to link to a PDF, we need to navigate over to our media library. So we'll locate our PDF folder, and scrolling down, click our PDF, and select, and add. So just to demonstrate, okay, if I want to move that dining menu above my golf scorecard, I can click up, and it will arrange the order for you. And save and close. And now I'm just going to go ahead and save, and also publish my page. If I scroll to the very bottom now, there's our quick link menu. So let's take a look at the live site. And let's just refresh. Now for those hyperlinks, it is recommended to test them out in preview mode before you do publish the page to the live site. However, I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate directly on the live site for us. So on the right hand side, we had our dining menu. So this will open the PDF for us. And we also have the golf scorecard, which is that internal redirect to another page within our website. Scrolling down, we had our email link. And again, as long as the user has an email program on their workstation, this will populate that to field and the subject line that we pre-filled out. Then scrolling down, we also had our external link, which we turned into that nice button link. So clicking pga.com, notice that that opened in a new tab for us. That way, once we close that link, we still have our website open. And lastly was that image link. So when you hover over an image link, you'll notice that your cursor will change. And there's Facebook. So let's head back over to Pages. The last bit to review is on how to edit, copy, move, and delete a widget. So like we said at the beginning of the video, the widgets are the building blocks of your website, and they can be easily mixed and matched as you like. If you need to edit a widget, you're going to take a look for the name of the widget, click on the gear icon, and click Configure. This will open up the widget properties window where you can go ahead and make your adjustments, and save and close. You also have the ability to copy your widgets. So for example, let's head over to our What's New at the Club page. And scrolling down, let's say we want a copy of our title and summary. We're going to click on the gear icon, and we're just going to choose Copy. Now we can copy widgets over to the same size content block. So this is a large widget, meaning I can copy it into my 100% or 70% content blocks. So for example, if you want to paste it into the 100%, we're going to click the hamburger menu and paste. And therefore, we've now got 2 widgets. So from here, we could always go in and configure this widget different from the one above. Now, just like we can copy a widget from within the page, you can also copy a widget to another page, again as long as it's within the same size content block. So for example, let's just save our changes. I can copy my static image banner by clicking the gear icon and copy. I can take that over to my child page, click the hamburger menu, and paste. And let's just save those changes. Now another really neat feature with the copy option is you can actually copy all widgets within the same content block. So for example, if we go over to About Us, I have a lot of widgets here right now. So instead of copying an individual widget, what you're going to do is click that hamburger menu beside the content block and choose Copy All. Then you're going to navigate over to your page, click on that hamburger menu, and click Paste. That will then paste all those widgets into the content block for you. You can also move widgets within a content block as well. The easiest way to move the widgets is just to hover over the arrows, click, and drag down. Or maybe you decide, I don't want this full width quick links widget. In order to remove a widget, you're going to click on your gear icon and simply click Remove. In the pop-up, just confirm that yes, you do want to remove this widget. So now if we take a look, we no longer have that full width quick links widget. You also have the ability to remove all widgets in a content block as well. And we can do that by clicking our hamburger menu and clicking Remove All Widgets and OK in that pop-up. And let's just save our changes. Lastly, we're going to take a look at a few more features you have within your website. First, let's look at how we update our footer. To update the footer of our website, we're going to navigate over to our root level. And you'll notice that your footer is also a widget. So to update your footer, all you have to do is click on that gear icon and configure and make your changes. Now depending on the footer option you selected, you may have the ability to add social media icons. So if you do have any social media pages, you can always select this option and save and close. Now in order for those social media icons to appear, we have to make sure that we do have the social media URLs. In order to add those, if we open our other tab, let's go back to the dashboard, we're going to navigate over to Company Management. And we're going to look for a third-party integration tab. From here, you can enter your social media URLs as applicable, click Save, and then as long as you have that Add Social Icons enabled within the footer, these social media pages and icons will appear within your footer for you. Back over to Pages. What if we need to change the name of a page? Now the only time you want to change the name of a page is if it's too long within the navigation, so for example, What's New in the Club, or you've made a spelling mistake. To change the name, we're going to go ahead, select the page from the content tree, and click that Form tab. The page name can then be found within the document name. So we can change this, for example, to what's new, and then let's save and publish. Now taking a look at the live site and refreshing our page, note that changing the name of the page does change the name displayed within the navigation. However, it does not change the URL. So if you are changing the name of a page, say from your golf page over to your dining, it is recommended just to create a new page, copy your widgets over, and then delete the old page, just in case your users are paying attention to that URL. So back over to pages. Now we're going to take a look at some not so visual properties that do play an important role in your web pages. We can find that by clicking Properties, and the first one we're going to take a look at is General. Now you don't have to do anything here. This is just an information-only page that provides you with a nice breakdown, including who created the page and when, who last modified the page and when, and it also allows you to access the live URL, which upon clicking will open that page directly in a new tab for you. And the live URL can become very handy, especially if you have the page hidden from the navigation. With that said, the next property we're going to take a look at is navigation. By default, your pages will be checked to show in navigation, meaning that they will appear within the navigation bar of the live site. However, if we take a look at amenities and Ski Club, notice that show in navigation is not checked. And if we take a look at the live site and hover over amenities, we don't see Ski Club. That allows us to actually create that page, and whether it's for a seasonal basis or we're still working on it, we can publish the page, but we can hide it from the navigation. That way, when the season changes, I can come in here, click Show in Navigation, save and publish my page, and that page will now be visible on the website. Lastly, within Properties, let's take a look at Versions. Versions can be considered your big undo button because it will track the last 10 saves and publishes that you've made for that page. Every save will be marked with a decimal, where every publish will be marked with a full number. So let's say you've gone in, you created your original page, you are very happy with it, you did another publish, and you actually like the first version better. Instead of trying to figure out and redo what you did, come into Versions and roll back to that last version you want by clicking on that arrow. Now the last thing we're going to review is how to delete and restore a page, because maybe you decide, I no longer need this page on my website. Just note, if you do delete a parent page, it will also delete any connected pages, so you will want to move those pages first. To move a child page, the easiest thing to do is select that page and click on the little move icon, which is the paper with the arrow. Then within the content tree, you're going to decide where you want to move that page to. So for example, About Us, go ahead and make sure you click Preserve Page Permissions, because that is going to transfer both the security settings and the navigation settings that you've already applied to the page. Then click Move. However, we're going to delete the child page, so I'm just going to X out of here. So to delete our page, I'm just going to select the page we want to delete and go ahead and click that trash can. Now if you do have any checkboxes here, don't worry about actually checking them. You're just going to go ahead and click Yes. And now our page has been deleted. Now maybe you decide, you know what, I actually do want that page. In order to restore a page, we're going to go back to our dashboard and we're going to navigate over to our recycle bin. In order to bring back our page, we're just going to click that arrow and that would restore the page for us. However, if you do want to restore a child page, you must also restore the parent page, otherwise it will not have its connecting page and you will receive an error. In order to select multiple pages, just check the boxes, and at the very bottom of the screen, make sure you're on selected pages, restore, and click OK. And OK. You'll get a note that your page has been successfully restored, and if you just want to do a double check, we're going to go back to our dashboard, back into pages, And there's the page we deleted and restored. Now just note that if you do restore a deleted page, it is going to wipe the security settings. So just make sure you go back in, review the security settings, and that you're satisfied with the content on the page before you go ahead and publish.